Good morning, baseball fans, and welcome back to Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. Do not be fooled by that fancy name. It's just me and some friends talking about baseball cards. You know what I like to do when I'm talking to friends about baseball cards? I like to look at baseball cards. So let me bring on my guest. I think that was a pretty good imitation. I don't know. Wasn't it?
It was pretty good, yeah.
It's not of the level of the Mangini imitations by both Jake and Sammy, who have different styles, but they're both pretty good.
Oh,
But how about,
Brett Richards, he does a good one too.
oh, that's right, that's right. You really, it's kind of the Mangini imitation thing was a thing for a while, but now it's
Yeah, it was a little fad.
yeah.
It's fizzled out, I think.
Plus, I think you outlaw it in your hobby president. You know, like
No,
you
absolutely not. Imitation's the greatest form of flattery.
your executive order, no more Mangini imitation. So anyway, here we are starting off a chat, but my viewers should know that my guest is Sean Mangini, obviously, from the Mangini collection. Happy to have you on again, sir. And since the last time you were on my show, you won a giant election, and now you're hobby president. And I'm not sure what that really means, but so far you've done some great things with it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it means anything, but it's fun. It's fun.
So my favorite new development of the Mangini channel is the off-camera star who's making a big hit on YouTube. That would be Mrs. Mangini, who is doing some great work on YouTube lately.
We're having fun with it because, we have these discussions, and I was like, actually, I think it was her idea to start recording them because I don't know. That's just the way we talk. So when she starts to talk about baseball cards, I'll just hit record and we'll just have a conversation. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's a great way to have my wife participate with me without actually having her touch my cards or anything.
Well, she came pretty close on the video where you were, just taking everything out that you needed to save. The whole sort of take off on the Steve Martin the jerk.
Yeah, it's been really fun to do together because I think any collector, every collector, and every collector's spouse can relate to what we're talking about.
I have said this to you in text that my wife now watches the videos where your wife is on because she
is that right?
Yes. The unique problem of the hobby wife,
Well, I had a lot of people comment and said I watched this with my wife. She loved it, or, so you're not the only one.
I'm happy I'm not the only one. So we did, as much as I'd love to chat with you, we did bring you on for a show, a specific show.
Yes.
This is the 1939 Goudey premiums. So did a little bit of research. I knew something about these cards. They're not really cards; they're more photos. And I've had one ungraded. So I know that the paper is very thin. So they're not really cards; they're premiums. The other thing about 39 Goudey premiums is that there are two sets. There's the 303BA and the 303, I'm sorry, the R303A and the R303B. But within those, there are two different variations. So there's actually, some of the websites talk about type 1, type 2, and type 3, but there's really like type 4 also. The A's, which I do have one of the A's, is a little bit smaller, and there are some variations on the color, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it looks more sepia in person than it does on my screen. But this is Joe Cronin. The other thing is that the A's are a little smaller. Like if you put these up next to each other, the A is about an inch shorter than the B's. So
now, do the A's have the exact same backs?
They do. It's the how-to. So on Joe Cronin, it's how to coach a base runner. which is interesting because at the time Joe Cronin was a player manager. Lefty Gomez, I'm sorry, not Lefty Grove, but Lefty Gomez has how to throw the drop. I think the drop is a curveball, like the 12-6 curveball. That's what they used to call it. How to throw the
Well, I think in the old days, the drop was actually a different pitch. Like, I think the curveball went more sideways. The drop fell down.
Yeah,
that's changed.
Okay.
In modern baseball, the drop is now a curveball.
And then it's how to catch for Bill Dickey. And he was
my dad taught me to throw a drop when I was in Little League. And I wasn't a pitcher. I was an outfielder, but they let me pitch one day. And I used to practice this drop pitch in my yard with my dad. And so this kid came up to the plate, and I had 2 strikes on him, and I threw the drop. And it was going right down the middle, kind of slow, and he swung with all his might, and it fell and landed right in the middle of the plate. I was so proud of myself. That pitch was awesome. All my coaches were laughing.
This poor kid. He's probably been scarred for life now. Coaches laughing at him.
It landed right in the middle of the plate. Never even crossed the plate.
So I was a pitcher. I actually pitched in high school. I was very good. And then I pitched Division III college. This is like the 1980s, so it's a long time ago. And
wow.
I threw like 3/4 or sidearm, and I was lefty. So I could never throw a drop. A drop for me was one of those, the right-handers who pitch right over the top. And the curveball would just go, they call it the 12-6. It just goes, zoop, and then it goes down. My curveball was almost a slider. It was like cut across on like a 45-degree angle.
Yeah, I was the way my dad taught me, and I could make the ball move any direction in the opening. I would hold the seam, and I could either make it drop, I could come this way and have it come in this direction, or I could even throw a screwball holding the other seams and turn the other way, which there are very few screwball pitchers anymore.
It's hard to throw. I tried to throw it. I actually had it in my repertoire for a little while. You have to twist your arm in an opposite direction, and I could never get it. I could never get the break, and then of course it's really tough on the elbow. So, but of course the greatest screwball pitcher of all time, Carl Hubble.
Yep. And Fernando Valenzuela was a good one too. There were some others. And then the other thing I could do with that seam is I could throw a fastball with a little tail on it in either direction.
Mm-hmm.
Just use the same holding those seams. The way the pitchers do now is totally different than I learned when I was little.
I don't know if if there is a screwball pitcher anymore, but so we have, I guess between us, pretty much all the Hall of Famers in this set. I think that's what we decided, right? So
I think so. I haven't refreshed myself on the
Mangini 39 Goudey premiums because I know you have one of the biggies, and I'll show mine in a little bit. But anyway, you know what? Let me just do this before we go to you solo. I did have a photo of the Bill Dickey and Lefty Gomez from a previous show, so I just wanted to bring them up so people know what they look like. As you can see, SGC puts them in these gigantic holders, which makes them oversized cards. But I'm not a big fan of the phrase oversize because everything is perspective, right?
Well, me either. I mean, to me, cards come in all different shapes and sizes. Some are round, some are square, some are rectangle, some are small, some are large.
Yeah, and if T206 is your primary thing to collect, then everything bigger than like 1 by 2 or whatever is oversized, right? Then Topps is oversized.
Yeah, that's why I always joke around about the oddball card term, because prior to 1952, no cards were that size. Yeah. So, I don't treat every pre-1952 Topps card as an oddball. That's the way cards came.
Yeah.
In fact, it was Topps that changed that. So
I
all those old cards, they were all different sizes. There was no standard size.
I did a show with Greg and Mike, and we brought back Oddball. So Oddball is back, and we can use it again. But oversized.
The term, I'm sure, is here to stay.
I want to.
But I mean, when you're calling like Wilson Franks and Dan D and red hearts. When you're calling those oddball, I disagree. I don't think they're oddballs. I just think they're cards.
Right. What's your definition of oddball? I don't know if that's a regional issue. It's regional or food issue, or those are, they have their
When
own
you get
names.
into pre-war, many of them were regional. The Willard chocolate, the Oxford confectionery, most cards were regional.
Yeah.
The T206s maybe were more widespread. That's why they're easier to find. But most of those cards were regional issues. And that's just the way it was.
All right, so I'm going to give you the solo. I think I can give you a solo. How do I do that? Solo layout.
There we go.
There we go.
Here's the Joe DiMaggio.
Beautiful.
Now on the back, it's How to Catch Flies.
Well, he was good at that.
Yeah, both Ted Williams and Mickey Mantle both said he was the greatest all-around player they ever saw. I mean, I think they know a little bit about baseball, maybe not. Melot.
Oh man, that's good.
On the back, how to umpire balls and strikes. I don't know why they would have that on his, but
yeah, that's weird.
It's just more of a generic one, not pertaining to him, I'm sure. And then I have two versions of the Jimmy Fox. And on the back of his is how to bat. He might have known a little something about that.
Certainly
and
did.
So this is the one, and then there's more of a colored version.
Yes. So 39, was it 303B, was 24 players, 48 total cards, because there are two variations for every player.
Yeah, that's the only color one I have. Here's the Bill Dickey. I know you showed the picture, but
yeah, that's gorgeous.
It's better to hold it. This is such a phenomenal card to me.
Yeah, I'll show that in a bit, but
and he has How to Catch Behind the Bat, so his does pertain to his position. That Melot's a little one-off. How to Pitch the Drop. You already showed this one.
Yeah.
And then Ernie Lombardi is the last one I have. And see, here's How to Pitch the outshoot, whatever an outshoot is.
Well, I'll get to Feller in a second. I'll do Feller first because Feller has the inshoot. I don't know what that means. I guess those are like little sliders.
Yeah, I would imagine the outshoot probably moves away from you and the inshoot moves in on the batter.
Yeah.
I would imagine. I never heard that term before till I just read that. I never really looked at the back before.
So I'm back, and I have this Bob Feller, which I'm extremely happy to have. It's cheap.
That's phenomenal.
It wasn't cheap. Let's put it this way. It was not nearly as expensive as it could be, because you see that right there. That is a pinhole where the person took the card out of the pinhole and a little bit of paper came off. And there's also a pinhole on top. Shout out to our friend Mookie Chilson. So this gets a 1, even though, as you can see, it presents pretty amazing. And I'm not a fan of the technical grade for little imperfections like that, because if the rest of the card is like perfect, and there's one little tiny imperfection, and a 1 can look better than a 4. Yeah.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it's important to note that these were oftentimes pinned up, and they were oftentimes put in albums. I mean, that's just the way people kept them.
Well, when I get to Cronin, I'll do him last. As you have this, so do I. This to me is just absolutely classic 30s.
Isn't it phenomenal?
And it's
just phenomenal.
Like he's going after the pop-up, and I don't know if this is posed. If it is posed, it's a really good pose.
Yeah.
It looks like that's how he would go chasing after a pop-up.
And I think some of these are really unique poses.
Yeah.
Because that one, I've never seen another card like that. This Jimmy Fox is a unique pose.
Yeah.
No cards like that. Even the Melot. Have you seen a card? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
And the Joe DiMaggio. Have you seen a card like that?
Yeah, I think I
Is
might
that
have seen
taken
that.
from anything?
I think that might exist in other issues, but something significantly.
And the Ernie Lombardi, I haven't. None of his cards look like that.
Such a great card.
Yeah, it
Another
really
great
is. I mean, he
card.
is one of those phenomenal catchers that just doesn't get any due.
Well,
I
he's in the Hall
mean,
of Fame.
well, how many? There aren't a whole lot of catchers that won 2 batting titles and an MVP.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what did Campanella won like 3 MVPs, didn't he? And
Yep.
Yogi, but not
Like
a whole
3.
lot of catchers win batting titles. I mean, they're out there, but
I
not a
don't
whole
know.
lot of them won 2.
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know they exist. But
Did Joe
Munson
Mauer? Joe Mauer, maybe.
did. Yeah, he might have won. I don't know if
Buster
Posey won back.
Posey. I mean, more modern catchers, maybe, but not a whole lot back in the day.
Yeah. You have this guy too, Lefty Gomez, of course, great Yankee hurler. And then this one. So the story with this one, and this is the A, so it's a little shorter and the color is a little bit different. It's a 2. Okay, again, technical grade, probably correct, but this is absolutely gorgeous. And the reason it's a 2 is because the person who owned these cards, and I actually know the person who owned these cards. I don't know him personally, but I know who it is. Had tiny little bits of like tape on each of the corners. And so you could see it, but you got to look so closely to see it. So it's just, to me, this is a 10 as far as I'm concerned. And
so in your research, did you find anything out about the type 1s or the A's, I should say?
I believe it's 48 players, and mostly all of them are the same tone, but I think there is some variations.
So different checklist.
Different checklist. There is a Ted Williams in the A, but not in the B. So
doesn't that lead you to believe they may have been issued in subsequent years rather than the same year?
No, because Ted Williams was such an amazing prospect in '38. I think he won the MVP and he was playing for San Diego, I guess, right? He was at the Minneapolis Millers. I think he won the Triple Crown. He was and it was pretty clear that he was going to be the Red Sox regular right fielder at 39. That's why he has a 39 play ball. So it's not surprising that he has a 39 Goudey premium.
Well, I don't mean because of him. I just mean, why would they make 2 completely different sets in the same year?
Good point. But it's weird that Ted Williams was not established enough so that he got chopped when they went from 48 to 24. So the B's, I think that they're bigger pictures. I don't know. Maybe they were issued in different years. I don't know. But why would Ted get dropped? 39, he was a superstar already.
Yeah.
Here.
We have a lot of mysteries when it comes to vintage cards, and it's so much fun to try to research. And it's a shame that, nobody that collected these are still around to pick their brain to ask them.
But so let me finish the story with Cronin. So I have musical connections. I have a music website, all that stuff. So it's a different world. But I have music people who get in touch with me sometimes with cards because they know I'm the card guy in the music world. So this guy gets in touch with me and says his friend in Cleveland, his grandfather just passed away. He had a whole bunch of baseball cards. And so he puts me in touch with them. And the guy gets in touch with me and starts messaging me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, he's got baseball cards, whatever. He sends me all these pictures of the 39 Goudey premiums. And I wasn't that familiar with them at that point. But he's got Ted Williams, which is a rookie card. And he's got DiMaggio, and he's got Feller, and he's got the whole list. And the only one I can afford is Cronin. So I bought the Cronin. So he sends some of them into SGC, sends some of them into PSA. He ends up taking that Ted Williams onto an auction platform. It might have even been Heritage, and it went for like $12,000. So his grandfather gave him these scraps of paper, and it was like $10,000 in cards. And he had some other stuff too. He had some of the other Goudeys from the mid 30s. I bought the other Cronin that I have from, I guess it's the Y Pen. He had a few of those. He did have a picture of the whole Yankees team with both Gehrig and DiMaggio in it. With the, I think you probably know the picture, and it's got those '30s cars in the background. I think it's a Goudey issue from like maybe '36, and but I couldn't afford that one. But
So, hey,
so I actually have the provenance of the provenance of the Cronin, because this guy's grandfather owned this car, so it's been in two hands, which to me is
yeah,
amazing.
the
Why they
provenance story is knowing that is always extra special.
yeah.
I mean, there's no way to ever prove it to somebody, like if you're a seller, but as a collector, just knowing where it came from.
Well, this guy, he sort of came out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden had all this stuff.
Yeah,
So
that's so amazing.
it's,
It's so
it,
awesome when it happens.
it was very much not obviously not a scam, because he graded them all and they all came back,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But and you know, it was kind of amazing because this guy went from knowing nothing about baseball cards to like a year later being like an encyclopedic source on 30s Goudey's premiums. So
Yeah,
good for.
that's one nice thing that SGC always did, and PSA does it somewhat, is when they put the collection it came from. Like I have slabs for Lionel Carter,
Yep.
and I have slabs. I don't know this collection, but the collector's collection, I have slabs from that. But so that is the provenance. Once it's in a holder, at least you have that. I wanted to get back to the talking about the years for a second. You said, why would they drop Ted Williams? Is it possible the Bs were made the year before the A's
Entirely possible.
and they added Ted Williams rather
It,
than
added
dropping
him,
him?
but I don't. Like I said, he's in the 39 play ball. Obviously, he was established enough in terms of the Red Sox knew that he was the man. So that 39, maybe they came out at two different times in 39, or
That could
possible.
be two. That could be two.
Another question we have, if anybody in the comments wants to add to this or knows the answer, is how did you get these? Did you go into a store and buy them? Or did you go into a store and buy a pack of Goudey gum and send off, wrappers to get them?
Yeah, like I was telling you before, most of the time you would send in wrappers. These redemption things, they still go on where you can send wrappers in. It's called rebating. My
Yeah.
grandmother, it was her hobby, and we used to save all our garbage, and she would send me anything baseball related. One time I got from Wise Potato Chips a picture of Willie Stargell. She got me. I got golf balls from Wheaties with Tiger Woods sign, facsimile autograph on them, and he's on the box. And over the years, you remember the old Tony the Tiger baseballs? She would send me those. So that's what most premiums. That's how you got them, is you sent in packaging. But the
I
thing
sent
about
away.
these, I've
Yeah.
never seen an envelope or I've never seen a package. Like if you look at the 1929 cash-in, I have the boxes for those. Those were
Yeah.
sold in stores.
Yeah.
But then you look at the Warch cigars, I have the envelopes those came in. You look at the 1934 Quaker Oats Babe Ruth, I have the envelope that came in. But I've never seen any kind of packaging or envelopes for these. So it's still my contention that they were probably premiums where you sent in wrappers to get, but I don't know that for a fact.
So one of the things that should be pointed out is that at the bottom it says Diamond Stars Gum, manufactured by Goudey Gum Company, Boston, Mass. So Diamond Stars Gum would be what you had to buy to get these, but Goudey owned Diamond Stars Gum at that point. And so these would almost certainly be premiums from buying that particular kind of gum. Also, Goudey Gum Boston, so they would know Ted Williams because it's not a regional issue; it's a national issue. But they were from Boston.
It would be interesting to see if we could find an old package of that gum to see if they advertised for these. One other possibility, it's a possibility at least, is like the Sport Thrills cards from '48.
Hmm.
When you bought 5 pieces of gum, they would hand you a card. I mean, it could be possible these were
Yeah.
handed out, since I've never, until an envelope or a package surfaces. I guess that could be a possibility as well.
Well, I should say the grandfather of the gentleman who sold me the Cronin didn't provide information about how he had them, but he did have them. And he, like I said, he had a collection of stuff from the 30s, all of it Goudey. Um, and there were no big heads, but it was like the premium, 39 premiums, both kinds, and like the, what do you call it, the wide pens and all
Yeah.
those. So,
I
um,
guess, even another possibility is like the 49 leaf premiums, where they had a
yeah,
paper poster at the bottom, and whoever bought the last piece, they handed it to.
yeah,
That's also another possibility. I mean,
yeah.
this is this is just the great thing about vintage is the mystery and trying to figure it out sometimes.
Well, that's why we have channels, right? You get to
Yeah.
talk about stuff. so, so John, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
You taking time out of your busy schedule as hobby president and as co-star of the great Mrs. Mangini channel. Um, I'm looking forward to the next one. You could tell her that
Thanks.
she does give you a bit of a hassle, which I think is hilarious. But also, I don't know, and I don't think you know if you're going to Strongsville. But I would greatly encourage you to go to Strongsville.
I want to go.
I
I'm
really
just
want you to go,
at
and I
this
think
point in my life, I
everybody
don't like to schedule anything.
everybody wants you to go. You'll
I
feel
will probably be there. I will probably be there.
all right. I
I
would
have
say
to go. I have to go now. Sign some executive orders to put tariffs on some hockey cards. So
that's that's a subject for a whole nother channel. I don't do any of that stuff. So um,
as hobby president, I mean,
we will we'll see
because
you in we'll see you hopefully in Strongsville. But otherwise, feel free to text me anytime you get a new card because I love them when you send them, and I'll do
I will.
I'll do the same. All right,
We
folks. What were we saying?
I was just gonna say we got. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not gonna say anything. But you and I got some big sister cards or brother cards.
Yeah, that may be another thing to do.
Yeah, kind of.
Another
It's
show
just
to do.
it's very coincidental. We got them at the same time, basically.
Yeah, no conspiracy theories involved there. Not involved in any money laundering schemes or anything like that. So,
All right, Dan. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. This
thanks,
is
John. I
a
really
fun discussion.
appreciate it. See you later, folks.